What's up everyone, Dr. Zleek here. Today we're looking at Completion Club Grand Theft Auto 5 Edition, one of my most recent and newest games to have completed. So this game currently has 49 achievements for 1000 gamer score, so pretty average in terms of Grand Theft Auto. Genre is an action shooter game. If you played any other GTA game before, this will be very familiar in terms of general layout of things. Although this is a big improvement, I think, to Grand Theft Auto games. I did barely play any GTA 3 and 4, maybe about 10 hours between the two, and that's over several years of playing just for maybe an hour to a year, not very much at all. Anyways, that brings me to the next point, which is skill set. I have played Bully, and I got all the achievements in Bully, and I've been playing a little bit of Red Dead Redemption for 360, and that's a pretty fun game. They're very similar in how the game is built, including map and structure and how you go along the game and stuff like that. So if you're familiar with that, especially with GTA, obviously, because it will be the closest experience, you'll definitely have an easier time playing this game. Otherwise, just a general action and shooting experience will be good for you with skill set, as well as this game does have some parts which are fairly controversial, as most GTA games have, including torturing somebody and prostitutes and all that good stuff. So if you're okay with that, then you should be okay with the game. How long until you get the first achievement, the lock-in achievement? You'll get it after the introductory mission, where you and a compatriot basically steal a set of cars and you drive them to a location. Once you finish that mission, you'll get the Welcome to Los Santos achievement for 10 gamer score. If you want to actually play a little bit of the game before you decide to lock it in, just feel free to start a silver account. You can just do just single player on that and test it out. When we get to DLC, currently no DLC packs, but as of spring in 2014, they've announced that they're planning on releasing a DLC pack, as well as heists for online, so there might be achievements associated with that. Online and multiplayer, there are quite a few achievements. There are 17 achievements for 335 gamer score, so just under a third of the achievements and just over a third of the gamer score in this game is from the online multiplayer. Some of the achievements include hitting level 100, which will definitely be one of the longest online achievement and one of the longest achievements in the game. Winning in every game mode and ranked. Also, there's completing a job as a crew member. So basically, whenever you do a game online, whether that be a race or a team deathmatch or an objective game, that's a job, and if you complete it as a member of the crew, you get the achievement. As far as I know, you need to be linked on Rockstar Social Club, which is their website, to join a crew. If you need a crew but you don't know anyone that has the game, feel free to message me on YouTube or on Twitter, and I can send you an invite to my clan or whatever you want to call it. And then some other achievements are including robbing all of the stores, surviving with a bounty on your head, and pretty much all the other achievements are just basically check out this in online multiplayer, and you have to do something. This includes buying property, using unlockable abilities once you unlock them. The achievements are basically a way to get you to experience multiplayer to the fullest. Also, it makes it a pain in the ass because it means you have to play quite a bit. Make sure to have some friends or a boosting partner set up, especially for some of the team ones, as well as some of the other achievements like a decorated, which is for getting 30 platinum medals online. Some of that stuff you can do on your own, such as, driving a certain amount of time without crashing your car or playing games of golf or whatever, but certain things are to be much easier playing with a friend. Missable achievements, there's not really anything missable. I won't spoil anything, but if you're really cautious about spoilers, I guess don't listen, but there's nothing that'll surprise you or whatever. Basically, at a certain point in the game, you'll have to make a decision, basically A, B, or C. Two of them will result in something happening in the storyline where you can't get certain achievements, and the third one, I believe it's the third one, sounds like the worst one initially, but is actually the best one if you plan on doing all of the achievements after beating the main story. It sounded a bit vague right now, but once you get to that point, you will know, and you'll be able to make the correct decision, hopefully. If you make the wrong decision and you don't have any save files before you made the decision, play the whole game over again, which is at least 15 hours or more by this point, so make sure to pay attention to that. Otherwise, there aren't any achievements you could miss if you avoid making the bad decision. Just study up a bit on certain achievements that require you participating in random or particular events, such as the Altruist Acolyte achievement, which I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's the achievement, and Wanted Dead or Alive. Basically, one of them involves you finding a random person on the side of the road and bringing them somewhere. The game should tell you if you can earn the achievement or not, but just make sure to pay attention, that way you don't miss it. Also, all the achievements that are secret achievements. None of those are missable. All of them are unmissable story-related achievements. So if you are worried about missing some achievements because they're secret, don't worry about that. It's not like the achievement in Red Dead for not having a different horse or whatever. There's nothing in the secret achievements that you can miss as long as you beat the main game. And also, just don't look those achievements up if you don't want to get any spoilers or anything. Alright, next, collectibles and time suck. As always with Rockstar games, there's going to be some collectibles and some time sucking going on. There are several achievements that are collectibles, and there's some that can be considered collectibles that are challenges. So some of them include Show Off for 30 gamer score. That's for doing all the stunt jumps. If you played GTA 4, you'd be familiar with this. Next is From Beyond the Stars for 15 gamer score. This is for finding 50 spaceship parts as well as completing quest, which unlocks the search for the parts. And once you get all the 50 pieces, you'll have another little mission that you'll have to go do to get the achievement. But the missions take maybe like 5 minutes each and aren't really a part of it. It's just sort of a way for Rockstar to be like, oh look, a conveniently located storyline with achievements. Okay. Similar to that is a mystery solved, which is 15 gamer score for finding 50 pieces of a letter. Basically, once you find the first one, it'll kind of unlock the storyline, and each piece of the letter has information on it. And once you get to the last one, you'll have another little mission you have to go do. It literally takes 30 seconds and isn't difficult at all. Like I said, it's a reason for an achievement, so I'll go ahead and do that. Next is Close Shave, which is 20 gamer score. This is similar to Stunt Jumps. This is for completing all knife flights and under the bridges. So basically under the bridges, there's 50 bridges you have to go underneath with either a helicopter or an airplane. You'll find it much easier to do with a helicopter in most cases because you can go much slower and just hover on through and not immediately die if you hit the wall. So I recommend using a helicopter with that. And there are 15 knife flights in the game, which is basically flying an airplane sideways between skyscrapers or tall buildings. And most of them are pretty easy. Probably like 10 to 12 of them are fairly easy to do if you're experienced with the flying mechanics in the game, and a few of them will take you a while. I recommend using the quick save feature, which is if you open up your character's cell phone, you can take quick save. If you're flying through the air and you're about to die, just use quick save. If you're about to die, hit pause, load game, and go back. It does take a few minutes, but it's much easier than dying, respawning, going back to the airport, getting your plane, and then flying back. So, alright, next for time suck, we have Keflam, and Keflam achievement is for completing a secondary hidden quest line, or mission line, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, there's a secret thing you have to go Google, or not Google, but use the search thing, the iFind or whatever, on your online phone in the game, and basically it'll lead you to this website, and from there you just activate a quest line and you go through the particular amount of missions. It involves a lot of waiting and a lot of spending, so I recommend doing it once you're near the end of the game with a little money to spare. You can get that achievement, so it's pretty easy. It just takes a while to do, especially if you wait to do it all at once like I did. I recommend kind of waiting until you're near the end of the game and spreading it out over the course of the last few hours of gameplay. Next is Career Criminal. This is one of the last achievements I got, and this is for getting 100% completion in the game. What this involves is doing all of the main missions, doing all of the required Strangers and Freaks, which are like the secondary missions, completing a certain amount of random events, doing certain required miscellaneous activities, which involve playing like tennis or golf or hanging out with characters. Also involves doing half of the stunt jumps, half of the knife flights, and a couple other things like that where there's achievements in their own. Also, if you have the social club, which is the Rockstar website, you can actually go check the checklist. It'll tell you which ones you need and how far you are on doing some of that stuff. It'll let you know your percentage, etc. You will most likely get most of the other single player achievements before you get this one, so just kind of work on it as you go. Also, my recommendation for this game is to do all of the collectibles at once and try not to do too many of them during the game. If you try to do like, I'll find all of them in this area and do all, it's much easier just to say, I'm going to do stunt jumps and do all the stunt jumps, or I'm going to do knife fights and do all the knife fights. It's a lot easier just to do all of the same thing in a row, especially near the end of the game for stuff like bridges and knife fights, because you can afford the better and more expensive vehicles, or if you die a lot, you can afford the medical bills. Also, time suck is the decorated achievement, which I mentioned. For multiplayer, it's for getting 30 platinum medals. Even with a boosting partner, it will take you quite a while to get all of these done, even if you do the easiest ones. Thankfully, there are quite a few more than 30. It's not like seriously 3.0 where to do all of them. You just pick the ones that are easiest for you and then concentrate on working on those, or just play a lot. Most of them will come naturally with certain kills or headshots or what have you. Just play the game, work on them if you want, and once you hit 100 you should easily have this achievement. And then one of the biggest time sucks, which is also a more difficult achievement, it's the last achievement I earned, which is solid gold, baby. This is for getting 70 gold medals on missions and strangers and freak missions. Basically there's about 120 missions in the game. Once you complete a mission you get a medal score, which is basically you get bronze for just beating it, and then for additional requirements you can get extra percentage points, and 100% is a gold medal. Some of the requirements for getting gold medal include finishing a mission in a certain time limit, doing certain objectives in a certain time limit, finishing without a lot of damage taken, finishing with a certain amount of headshots, finishing with a certain accuracy with your guns. General thumb for this one is just to wait till the end of the game and just replay them as you go along. Just because certain missions I know for a fact are a lot easier once you're more experienced with the game, as well as certain missions being easier once you buy ammo and guns. So for example, I did this after beating everything else in the game, so I had several $1,000,000 with each character, and so this allows me to go to the gun shop, buy all of the guns, buy a crap load of ammo, buy nice armor, and those carry throughout the missions. So let's say one of the missions in the beginning of the game is, you know, get 80% accuracy. It's like, well, if I just have some really bad SMG, it's not going to be very accurate and not very deadly. However, if I have an upgraded pump shotgun that can eliminate anyone with one shot within 50 feet, that'll be a lot better for accuracy. Also, a thing to point out is the requirements stack through multiple runs. For example, let's say a mission, I need to beat it in 10 minutes with an accuracy of 80%. If you can do both at the same time, I would go for the accuracy first, and then once you beat it, it'll be like, oh, well, you got this one, but not this one. And you hit OK. If you go back to the menu and you go back and play it again, but this time speed run and just spray bullets everywhere, at the end it'll just say, oh, well, you got the speed run, not the accuracy. But if you look at the menu after exiting back out of that mission again, it will have both of them checked off. There are a few exceptions to this rule, and this includes the rage events with Trevor, one of the characters, and you'll know what I'm talking about when it comes to those. There's an achievement for doing all 5 of them. I'll put that on the video. But those requirements you have to do in one run. They do not stack, so make sure to do those. It's actually pretty easy, like I said, if you're experienced with the game and know what you're doing, so otherwise don't really worry about it. Alright, so now we get to tough and tricky achievements. Some of the stun jumps and knife fights are pretty challenging but doable, as well as some of the activities you'll have to do for career criminal. This just involves anything, like if you're not very good at the golf minigame, playing and finishing above even. Those might prove a little bit challenging if you're just not very good with the mechanics. Just practice those, will take time. I should also mention on the note of them being challenging, stuff like the stun jumps and knife fights and bridges, those can be very time consuming as well, so they kind of go back into the time suck category. It probably took me about 6 hours or so to do all of the stun jumps, so it can be a bit of a grind. I just found it easier to open up Netflix on my computer and watch that while switching back to the YouTube video on my tablet. If you're able to have that many screens like I am, then you might find it a little bit easier. Alright, next we have game quality, fun factor, replayability. This game is very, very fun. Like I said before, I've only played GTA 3 and 4 for maybe 10 hours the past like 10 years combined, so this is easily the most hours I've spent in a GTA game. It's very fun, especially if you play with friends. The gameplay is very solid. The storyline is hilarious. Although it is very mature humor and it's got very controversial moments at times, but it makes a good story and a good game. If you're like me, you'll enjoy the heists a lot. They're fucking fun to play and really awesome, and that's why I hope they release them for multiplayer soon. The only bad part about this game is probably the grindy multiplayer. Most of the multiplayer is actually very fun. Play with my friend Dylan a lot, and we go and kill each other all the time, and we rob stores and do missions and stuff, and it's really, really fun, especially, like I said, if you have friends. If you have more than one friend that plays a lot, you'll know how fun that'll be. But the only bad thing is it can seem a bit grindy if you're only concentrating on level 100. Try to do it passively while just enjoying the game. Honestly, if you just go play competitive multiplayer and play fairly well, you'll get quite a lot of money and XP, or RP they call it in this game. Either way, very good. Completion time, if I remember correctly, it took me about 22 hours of gameplay to beat the main game, and that's also while just doing miscellaneous stuff on the side, not necessarily rushing through the game at all. And like I said, this is also for a more beginner GTA player. I obviously sped up as I went along, as I was getting better at the game, but even for a beginner, it'll take you less than 24 hours to beat the whole story. But the downside is, by the time I got my last achievement, I just checked on Social Club after completing the game earlier today, and I have just under 57 hours of gameplay in single player. Online will vary a lot. I was fortunate enough, I didn't get the boosting in like people did back in October of 2013 when most of the glitches or workarounds for XP were fairly easy to do. I was fortunate enough to find a playlist soloist, that was allowing me to grind to 100 pretty quickly. But if you just play competitive multiplayer and you play fairly well in practice and play with friends and do races and pretty much just enjoy multiplayer, it should take you around 30 to 50 hours to get a level 100 at the most. So overall, you're looking at least 100 hours, easily more if multiplayer doesn't get any easier anytime soon. Rockstar does often, though, have double or 1.5 times RP events, so just watch out for those. Lastly, we get to availability and pricing. This game is still fairly new and fairly popular, so as of 2014, right now it's May, you'll probably not find the game for under $35 pretty much anywhere, unless you get like a used copy of Amazon or something. Regardless, I'll leave those live links in the description, that way you can check the actual live up-to-date prices depending on when you watch the video. If you're really just waiting to play this game, I would probably wait until holiday 2014 because it's likely they will have a sale on this game as they usually do. So, as always guys, thanks for watching. GTA 5, great game, I recommend you play it. One of those games that I planned on playing even though I didn't plan on completing it, I ended up completing it anyways, so hopefully you can do the same. Thanks for watching guys.